Hello there, and welcome to yet another episode of Sacred Sex with Trish. I am your host, Trish Causey, and thank you so much for joining me. Whether you're here live or on the replay, I greatly appreciate the fact that you are willing to maybe open your mind a little bit or go with what you already know to be so fabulous and true about sacred sex, which is ultimately about bringing the divine into your intimate relationships. And I already see some people jumping in. That is beautiful. Please go ahead and say hi. Hey, Robbie, first one in. You are so great, Robbie. If you hear me talk about Robbie's a good friend of mine, and he's so supportive, and I am so grateful to you, Robbie. He is just lickety split. He is right there on all my YouTube shows. He's just so great, and now he's here now on Oneness Talk Radio platform, supporting Oneness Talk Radio and contributing and participating. And I hope the same for all of you. Please go ahead. Let me know that you're watching. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat. Absolutely. I always give credit where credit is due. And Robbie, you are fabulous. So tonight's topic is... I'm going to do a part 2 of the Heart-Genitals connection. I was afraid that after last week, maybe the show seemed kind of like a little bit of a Debbie Downer, a little bit of a negative Nelly. And I don't like that. I mean, I don't want it to feel like that. I haven't watched the show yet, so I don't know if that's how it came across. The participants during the show were really great. And I am so grateful for your participation. My kind of show, I love what y'all write in the chat, and I want to respond. If you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is kind of the other part of healing with the Heart-Genitals connection. So if you don't know anything about me, my name is Trish Causey, and I am an artist alchemist. I am a sacred sex shaman. I made that up. And and I do a lot of things. Obviously, I'm a talk show host, a tantrika, and it is my life's work and soul mission to help in the realm of relationships, particularly to help heal abuse and trauma. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through pleasure. Now, of course, you may disagree, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm not here for this to be just a one perspective only kind of show. I would love to see your comments and your questions about any topic. Whatever topic I'm doing, you can ask a question about any topic that you want to talk about. But I did want to go ahead and revisit the Heart-Genitals connection, mainly because, well, last week, I just want to make sure you understand this is a huge topic. We have lots of healing to do. We've had lots of trauma and sabotage to the Heart-Genitals connection, right? There, see, Debbie Downer already. But I do want to talk about an experience that I had very recently, and this is literally a couple days ago. And I get this a lot. I want to get on other people's talk shows. I want to spread the good news of orgasm and pleasure and healing and intimacy and great sex and great relationships. And so this very nice person, her name is Angel, by the way, she had a post on a Facebook group that I'm in, and she said she has her podcast and she's looking for people to interview. So of course, I mentioned what I do as a sacred sex shaman. And this is always risky business, let me tell you. And this kind of thing happened. I said I talk about how to increase pleasure and have bliss in your life, and anchor love, passion, healing, consciousness in your love and relationships and your business. My whole spiel. It's what I'm here for. It's what I'm here to do. And the response was, "Oh, I don't know that I can talk about that on her spiritual show." And she said, "I don't know if we're ready for that." So I said, and this is what I always do next, I say, well, I also help my clients heal from sexual trauma. and go through, various we go through modalities. I have my own modality, tantric fire magic, to help with sexual abuse and sexual trauma and the healing of sexual dysfunction. And she said, "Oh, I think that's yeah, that we could do that." And if I may do a hair flip right at this moment, what really annoyed me about that, and this is not about her specifically, because she was great. In fact, we did the interview today and she is wonderful. And I can't wait for that interview to come out, because we did talk a lot about healing from the trauma perspective and all that jazz. But what I am continuing to see in the spiritual community is the bypassing of sex and sexuality and being sexual and orgasm and bliss and pleasure. And of course, that's what this show is aiming to help people get past their religious BS, or whatever issues they have about really embracing sex and sexuality, their own sexuality, whether it's with a partner or solo sex. Masturbation, that's solo sex, right? And so what it just reinforced for me is that we can talk about the pain, we can talk about suffering, we can talk about the drama, we can talk about all the stuff that doesn't feel good. We can talk about all the stuff that that create the blocks in our life that affect us on every level. We can talk about the stuff that gives us nightmares and keeps us up at night. But we still can't talk about the stuff that makes us feel good. Your ability to orgasm is, if there's anything in this human physical experience that is divinely inspired, it is your ability to orgasm and experience bliss. Because let me tell you, you can meditate for 20 years or have a really great orgasm and you have the same experience. You can have that religious experience that everybody tries to, meditate and do all sorts of austerities in order to experience. And you can do it through orgasm. You can do it through bliss. I've experienced that. I call it, it's on my website. It's actually my first big orgasm. I call the Big Bang cosmic level orgasm. And it happened for me on 11/29/2011. So 29, right? So it's 11/11/11, right? And so, hey, James, thanks so much for joining and commenting. I appreciate it. And I love that, sister. Thank you so much. Mwah. But what really gets me is I started thinking back to, and believe it or not, I am going to get back to the topic of the show. I'm a Libra, so I've got like 8 different tracks, like an old 8-track. I've got 8 different tracks of convos going on in my head. The voices, I love them. But it just really hit this home to me, is that we can talk about breast cancer. We can talk about endometriosis. We can talk about PCOS. I mean, it's good that we can talk about this, because 50 years ago, we could not talk about this in public forums, right? But we still can't talk about pleasure. We can't talk about bliss. In fact, in Facebook's guidelines, and I get thrown into Facebook jail frequently. My posts go missing frequently. But what I noticed when they told me, they were giving me some reason for why they took down one of my posts. And it was because I was talking about sex and I was encouraging sexual activity through my show, Sacred Sex with Trish, not this version, the last 12 episodes that I did on another platform. And oh, by the way, that platform didn't ask me back for another 12 episodes because their viewers were complaining I was actually talking about sex on a show called Sacred Sex. Yeah, I don't know why they were shocked, but anyway. But in talking about sex education, sexuality, and I always come at it from a point of anatomy and love and consent. Like, those are my 3 things, right? And not in that order, the order changes, but those are the 3 main things. And Facebook lumps talking about sexuality as encouraging sexual activity, therefore they lump it in with pornography. Now, if you saw my show just a couple weeks ago where we talked about pornography, vibrators, and other addictions, there is a clear distinction between pornography and erotica even, and there's an even bigger distinction between pornography and talking about sexual function. Ask any man who's had to have prostate surgery. He will tell you he wishes people were talking openly about the male prostate 20 years ago. Because once you go down that road of having to have part of or all of your prostate removed, there are consequences to that you don't ever hear about in mass media, social media, etc. So, my activist side of me, because I've been an activist since I was 13. And the activist part of me just really gets very, the fire spirit comes out, because I cannot believe that here in 2020, we have this control mechanism over sexuality. And as I started thinking about it, it was like, wait a minute. Facebook has over 2 billion users now. There are 7.5 billion people on the planet. Like 1/3 of the people on the planet have a Facebook account. And Facebook is lumping sex with pornography. And so, again, it goes back to, we can talk about all the pain and the suffering, but we can't talk about the pleasure. A few years ago, moms were having their pictures of them breastfeeding their baby taken down, because those pictures of them breastfeeding their child Facebook was saying that was pornography, because you're showing part of the breast. And there again, you have something so natural, so beautiful, so wonderful, so amazing as a new mom breastfeeding, nourishing her child. And Facebook wants to sexualize that, or Facebook wants to continue the sexualization of women's breasts when women's breasts have multiple functions, So I say all that to say is that this is a big part of the problem that we have with the hindrances and the sabotage of our heart-genitals connection. It is this separate connection between your heart and your genitals. It is a loop. And our society, yeah, sure, patriarchy, because, patriarchy, but these institutions that want to control every aspect of your life, particularly the aspect of your life where you feel any sense of freedom, they want to take that from you. Any sense of autonomy, they want to take that from you. Any sense of you making decisions for yourself, where you don't have to answer to them, you don't have to go to them, you don't have to pay them, big pharma, processed food industry, fast food industry, anything where you are in control of your life, your body, and your experience, they want to come in and rip that from you. So, 14 minutes in, we're going to get to the topic of this show, is that there is so much healing that needs to be done. There is so much healing that needs to be done to, with, on, for, through, pick a preposition, the heart-genitals connection. And you are designed for pleasure. Just know that. You are designed for pleasure. Your body has nerve endings for pleasure in places I bet you don't even know about. So, we can talk about that on another show, because we will be going over anatomy. I think it's really important for us to discuss anatomy. So what are some of the ways that we can help facilitate healing through the heart-genitals connection? Well, as you know from watching Shri and Kira, you know about living from your heart and the ascended chakra system. The heart is your new root chakra. But it's going to be really difficult for you to have your heart as your new root chakra if you haven't actually done the healing through the old root chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus. And right now we're going through some massive, massive purgings. Massive purging. There is some intense healing happening right now if you allow it. And living from your heart, obviously, that's the number one thing. But another way to heal the heart-genitals connection is to really, really, really love your genitals. If you normally refer to your genitals as junk, as some men do, we know, start saying, I love you. Yes, you can actually tell your penis you love it. You say, wow, penis, I love you. Or Mr. Happy, or whatever name you give it, because ladies, I don't know if you know this, but men do tend to name their penis. I think it's kind of cute. It's very playful, right? And it takes some of the pressure off of, this trying to maintain this machismo, have a little fun. But for women, get your hands up inside you. Learn to feel what your vagina feels like through different phases of arousal. And it's not even about stimulating yourself to orgasm or anything, but just explore. What does it feel like to be languid? Just lay back and in a languid way, explore your body. Especially if you've experienced abuse, assault, some kind of trauma of miscarriage, of abortion, a really difficult childbirth, episiotomy. A lot goes on down there. If you regularly have, PMS that really hurts, you may have a negative a relationship with your genitals, with your sacral chakra, especially. So in healing the heart-genitals connection, it's really about coming back to your body, because your body was made, first of all, the human body is incredible, but it was made to be your physical vehicle in this life. And if you've had sexual trauma to the genitals, then you've had your heart broken, but especially sexual trauma, you may have developed an eating disorder. You may have developed just a mental block to how beautiful and wonderful you are. And feeling good through orgasm is a great way to reclaim everything that you may feel that you've lost through trauma or just bad sex. Bad sex with a partner you really didn't want to be with, someone you didn't want to really be married to, but you kind of stayed married, so you kind of kept having sex. I've been there. Been there, done that. So, when you are doing this, take your time. There's no rush. There's no there's no goalpost. There's no finish line. Except death. That's the only finish line here. And you're not there yet. If you're still here, that means you have stuff to do. You have work to do. You have soul mission work, life purpose work. And a big part of that is actually to have fun and experience pleasure. I've always been very serious about my art, my music, my writing. I've always been very serious about my activism, human rights, and justice. Libra, right? And even in that, I've had to back off some of the seriousness to see where can I really enjoy it? Where can I find the love in it again? And the same thing goes with your body. You know, I did not expect to heal my sexual trauma when I started down a tantric path. I used a few different modalities, and I put all of them that worked for me, I put them together in a program called Awesome: Awakening Energy and Sound Orgasm Meditation, which you can see on my website. Just go to my website, trishcausey.com. It's there on the front page. I have a special on the basic program right now. It's all self-study. But I love that program because in just wanting better orgasms and easier orgasms, I wound up healing my sexual trauma. And the sexual trauma goes back to childhood. Molested as a kid for 2 years by a female neighbor, and raped at 21 when I was a virgin. So first experience of a penis inside me was not consensual. And so all of these other assaults that I've experienced as well, there's a lot of trauma that we carry. And then men experience assault too. And men don't feel like they have the platform to talk about abuse the way, for some reason, we do. You know, the Women's March, or the Me Too movement, or Time's Up in the movement, even, you know, that women have been able to channel, whether it worked or not, but I think some of this did. But we've been able to channel topics and energy of what we needed to deal with as a society. We've been able to do that using social media. And I hope for men that y'all can do that as well. And so with the healing of the heart-genitals connection is that in every situation, you have the opportunity, you have the free will and the right to choose how you respond in any situation. So the first example, or first way to live from the heart, is to just understand your ability to respond is your responsibility, and that you can choose to live from your heart, act from your heart, speak from your heart at any time. It's not always easy, especially when the old patterns want to come up. Right? The old patterns of the way you used to handle things. If you got angry, if you punched walls, if you punched other people, if you turned to alcohol or drugs or food or sex to numb emotion, to not feel, or to feel something, you know, start to live from your heart so that your words, your actions are authentic. So that your words and actions are in alignment with who you're trying to be. And understand that you're going to make mistakes. That's just part of the learning process. Yeah. And so with the genitals, love on your genitals as much as you can. Every day, people. You wake up in the morning? Yes. Noon? Yes. Lunchtime, no time for food. We're going to go to the bedroom. Yes. Nighttime, yes. Definitely yes. Just not during my show, okay? Oh, hey, James. Oh, he says, I love your energy. Well, thank you very much. I'm trying not to be a little, too much here. But this is not easy stuff, y'all. But you know what? We did not incarnate at this time for the easy path, you know? The easy path, the vacation lifetime, that's like 1,000 years away, right? We're here to do the work. But you can do the work, and you can do your healing, and you can have some fun sometimes too, because you're designed to have fun. Your body is designed for pleasure. And I think the next show that I'm going to do, I think I sent Bria Rose a list of the shows I was going to do, but I think the next show might be, what we need to talk about is recovering from religion. Yeah, what do y'all think about that? Yay, nay? Y'all want to talk about that? Because religion has really screwed up sex and sexuality. And what I find to be so interesting, and by interesting, I mean awful, but what I find to be so interesting is that we can talk about sacred sex, and people just think that people think it means slow sex. But it actually means anchoring the divine within you so that you see the divine in the other person that you're with. And if every person did that, we would not have abuse, right? I mean, that's where we're all trying to get to, right? That's why we're all here. And I know I keep saying that. I'm actually working on a project, a masterclass series called Ascension 2021. This is why you are here. I'm going to have information about that coming soon. But I have great teachers, I call them master guides. It's a master guides masterclass series, and it is phenomenal. And it just reinforces for me once again that this is why we are here, is to heal this, dare I say, shit. We are here to heal this once and for all. We're here to heal the generational abuse and the ancestral abuse. And we are here to change society on all levels so that society is more loving and more caring and lives up in that frequency of unconditional love. Right. And so within unconditional love, of course, is unity and harmony and happiness and joy and peace and tolerance and compassion. So if you're ever in doubt about your heart-genitals connection, just say, wow, am I feeling this in my heart? Am I feeling love and happiness and joy for my genitals? Why not? When I think of my genitals, do I think of them with love? Do I think of them with happiness? Do I think of them with joy? Do I think of them with compassion in the healing process? You can apply all of that to your genitals, and you can even apply what we would normally associate with the genitals and sex and sexiness. You can apply that to your heart. Do I have passion in my heart for what I do? Am I living my life through my heart? Am I following my passions? Am I following what is just so juicy and sensuous and just that just makes me just laugh and smile and wonder? I mean, that's what the word miracle actually means. The word miracle comes from the Greek mirakulos, and it means to smile and wonder. Are you doing that with your daily life, with your job, with even your social media? All you keyboard warriors out there. That this is it. These are the big lessons. Can we purge the old so we can heal? And then can we move forward living from into love? Right? And James says freedom. Yeah. And Robbie says, this is so true. Well, I'm glad I got something right. So if y'all have any questions, I could go on and on, but I think at this point, I'm just going to say the same old thing. At this point, it's about living from your heart. It's about, in my opinion, it is about almost bringing those, if you think of the heart and genitals as the polar extremes of a spectrum, right? I think we already talked about duality and polarity. And Haydar, is it Haydar or Haidar? Kareem. Hi. He says thumbs up for me. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That because duality is this or that, and that's it. Whereas polarity is you have these extremes on either end, and then you have this spectrum of options, choices, contrasts, flavors in between, right? And so if you think of your heart as being on one extreme and your genitals being on the other extreme, and these channels are just the spectrum bridge between the two, you start to see how they're connected rather than just thinking of them in a dualistic perspective of this or that. Well, I can live through my heart, but then I'm going to be poor. I can marry for love, but I'll be poor. Or I can have, lots of great sex, but I have to cut myself off from my heart from that because I don't want to feel anything. Just see the heart genitals connection as the heart and genitals are the polar extremes of the spectrum, but it's actually a loop. The mathematical definition of a circle is an infinite number of points set end to end. Okay, it's not a line, it's an infinite set of points. So you have an infinite set of options of how to live from your heart, how to love your genitals, and how to just kind of smoosh it all up together so it's nice and juicy and feels good. Yeah? Okay, so he says, can I ask you a fashion question? Well, I am not a fashion wizard. I am an orgasm wizard. Thank you. Yeah, you're in the wrong show, babe. So, but I do appreciate you watching. All right. Anybody else got questions? Questions actually about this show? Let's see who else. Is anybody else? I think. There we go. So, let me know your juicy questions. I am reading from Facebook and from YouTube. So if you put your questions in the chat, I can do my best to help you because that is why I am here. It is a huge part of my soul mission, actually. Music is part of my soul mission, or it was last week. Who knows? The timeline's changing. But ending sexual trauma and just awakening to bliss and pleasure. One of the things that I teach in my awesome course is the difference between climax and orgasm. I separate the two. They are two distinctly different events. They just feel really great when they happen at the same time. And if you can understand that, I'm going to get to that question, James. That is a fabulous question. But if you can understand that orgasm is a state of bliss, and a state of bliss is a frequency, and you can enter that frequency at any time. Sex, sexuality, being sexual, feeling good, playing with your genitals, and you don't even have to play with your genitals because that's what I teach. If you don't want to touch your genitals, you can still learn to orgasm and never touch your genitals. Then you can stay in that bliss stream at any time. You can go there anytime. In fact, I'm working on an article right now called Desexifying Orgasm, because when you understand that orgasm is an energy frequency, you can just step up. It's like if you're walking along and then you're like, oh, you know what? I want to experience an orgasm. I want to be in that energy field. And you just kind of stand up on your tippy toes and you're there. That is actually what orgasm is. It's not the explosion. That's the climax. And so, James has a great question. He says, what is a sacred secretion? Now, with my background in Tantra, that's kind of how I'm going to approach this. All right. So a sacred secretion. So sacred, well, he wrote scared. I'm going to assume he meant sacred. That's what I'm going with. Autocorrect is not your friend right now, I bet. It's going to change words for you. Like, wait a minute. I didn't mean that. But a sacred secretion. So the word sacred means to make holy. Okay. So it has this intrinsic connotation that you are anchoring the divine in something. So a sacred secretion, a secretion is going to be some kind of discharge, right? And you're basically infusing the divine or feeling as if that secretion has been infused with the divine. divine energy, divine love, however you want to do that. Yeah. And James says, yeah, autocorrect. So there are a few different ways you can look at this. So a sacred secretion could be any discharge, any secretion that you have during sacred sex. That could be anything from vaginal fluid, and there are different kinds of vaginal fluid. There's the pre-fluid, like before you have sex. There's when the vagina is just her normal, natural moisture fluid. Then there is the fluid that's a little more viscous, and that's a little thicker, but it's still clear. That's the arousal fluid for penetration. That's the lube, right? And then you have prostate fluid. Female prostate fluid tends to be creamy. It's like a whitish cream color. But it all smells good. It all tastes good. And in fact, it has, if you're really sensitive to smells, you can smell the difference between the vaginal fluid, the female prostate, creamy fluid, female ejaculation fluid. Female ejaculation comes from glands at the top of the vagina on either side of the cervix. Female ejaculation that is emitted from the urethra, that's actually squirting. That's not true female ejaculation. It's not the Amrita. It's not the nectar of life the tantrics wrote about. The Amrita, the nectar of life, which is probably the most sacred secretion, at least from the woman's body, that comes from the top of the vagina. Then you also have of course, the male precum. Intact men are going to have their smegma. Smegma is clear and beautiful and wonderful. If you've ever heard of, dare we say, dick cheese, that is a bacteria from a man who does not wash regularly. Normal smegma is clear and it tastes just fine. But so that's a type of sacred secretion. And then, of course, ejaculation. Now, ejaculation is a combination of the sperm and then the prostatic fluid from the prostate. So it's a little combo there. So you can think of it as it's automatically sacred because you come from source energy, right? You are spirit in the physical. So it's already sacred. You don't have to do anything special to it. Not really. I mean, when you want to get down to the truth of the matter, it's already sacred because it's already divine because you were divine. But if you want to add a little zhuzh, I suppose you can. And that's what you do in sex magic. It's what you do in sex rituals, tantric sex rituals, or any kind of coming together of you and your partner or partners. Please, consenting adults only. Thank you so much. Use protection if y'all are not monogamous with each other. And I am not dispensing medical advice, just so we're clear. But Robbie says, yes, it's foamy. Yep. Yum, yum. And so, you can go through a process of where you intend for the fluids that will be rendered, that will be experienced, that will be ejaculated, that will be free flowing. You can set the intention and say some mantras that will make them sacred. Or you can have the sexual experience, and each step of the way, when you have some of the fluid, you can maybe hold it in your hands, and you can say a little something over it. You can scoop it up with a little a vial, a little bowl or a spoon or something, and put that on your altar. I mean, there are all kinds of things that you can do if you want to make the secretions sacred. I think it's really beautiful to want to do this, to honor the body in this way, and particularly to honor the sexual organs, the sexual process in this way. It's That's just such a beautiful, wonderful question, James. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that helped. Did that kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for? So you can think of it as already sacred because you are sacred. You are divine, and so is your partner, even if you don't like them. But I'm a terrible marriage counselor. I'll be the first one to tell you to get divorced. Y'all are awful together. You're hurting your children. Please get divorced. So you can already assume it's sacred because it is. You can do it bit by bit as you know, as she becomes aroused and she has that thicker vaginal fluid. You can do something with that vaginal with the female ejaculation fluid if you can catch it. If you can catch it, absolutely. And it can be, you can catch it in your hands because true female ejaculation is going to come out over and over and over and over again. Or that's, at least that's the way it is for me. And, you know, when you see the female ejaculation, that's like one big geyser, you can try and catch that too. You know, and then of course, again, the last one is that you can catch all of it. And, you know, and this is, I don't want to go too much into this, but catching sexual fluid and using it for magic, I mean, that is old love potion stuff there. Like that is, you know, I think in medieval times, I think that's how a lot of witches made their money was love spells, you know. But oh, good. I'm glad, James. But I would be remiss if I did not mention the other secretions that can be sacred. In Tantra, most people know about the 5 M's, right? Which is going to be like, you know, when you eat meat or fish or milk and wine and that kind of stuff. But actually there are 12. And so one of the secretions that they use in the tantric ritual is, say, urine. And I know a lot of Americans are probably just went, what? Urine? But yes, urine is considered, well, it's one of the forbidden. All of those things I just said they're forbidden. So that's why the tantrics do them, because the tantrics don't want to be told what is sacred and what isn't, because the Vedic culture and the Vedic scriptures will say, you know, this is forbidden, this is forbidden, this is forbidden, this is forbidden. And from the tantric perspective, the tantrics said, but everything is created by the divine. Everything comes from the divine. You know, Shiva, Vishnu, you know, Supreme Mother Goddess, whatever. You know, but everything comes from the divine. So how can you say that's bad? How can you say that's evil? How can you say that's dirty? How can you? So they would say, okay, well, we're going to make this good and wonderful. And so some of the things that they made good and wonderful would be urine and, yes, feces. That's where people go with that. You know, and so the tantrics were amazing because they fought the system, man. They really fought the system, because the Vedas, the Vedics were really coming to a point where they were so restrictive in so many ways, very controlling. And the tantric said, well, fudge that. You know, how dare you say this is dirty or sinful? You know, their version of sinful, right? Is because everything comes from the divine. So even in rituals today, you could do that. And piss play, as it's called, piss play is a fetish, and it is done. And before you start judging it, let me tell you about piss play. Piss play, which is about drinking partner's urine, is actually not that off, actually, because I don't know if you know this, but like people in the military, some part of their training, depending on what branch they're in, depending on what they're doing, depending on where what their mission is. They actually go through, well, one day you may have to drink your own urine when you're out on a mission because there's no water. And they actually do that. Like, I think Navy SEALs do that. And in the medical industry, urine therapy is actually a thing. And the reason is because urine actually has lots and lots of vitamins and minerals. Hey, Carly, you picked a great time to join the show. Thank you for joining right now. But yeah. But urine therapy is done simply because, it's there are so many vitamins and minerals that get washed out of the body that are not absorbed, mainly because people are taking vitamins and minerals. Maybe they're taking a multivitamin and they don't know how to take a multivitamin properly. Thank you for liking this video. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. But vitamins, your basic vitamins, they're fat soluble. Your B vitamins are not fat soluble. They're water soluble, but your main vitamins are fat soluble. That means that you have to eat fat. You have to have some kind of fat in your stomach when you take your multivitamin so that your body can actually extract the vitamins and carry them through to the small intestine so they can be absorbed into the bloodstream. So what happens if you take your multivitamin, say with coffee, with tea, with orange juice, with soft drink, something that that has no fat, you're actually wasting your money. In fact, it's called making rich piss because the urine is basically this multivitamin. And, I buy organic multivitamins and, I try to get the really good stuff, right? And if I were not to take that with fat, I would be wasting that money. A bottle of the vitamins that I use, it costs like $48 for a 90-day supply. And so I make sure I take some fat, whether it's cheese. I love cheese. I like cookies too. And yeah. So Carly says, I'm subscribing to you. Thank you so much. And I hope you'll also subscribe to my personal channel, which is Trish Causey Official, if you can find me on YouTube. But I am so grateful to have Sacred Sex with Trish here on the Oneness Talk Radio platforms. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. So yeah, so when you're taking your vitamins, and we'll just kind of wrap that up. If anybody has questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. But if you, when you take your multivitamin, make sure you're taking it with some kind of fat. Now, I'm from the South, so I'll take it with some butter. That's fine with me. Let me fry up some butter real quick and I'll go take my multivitamin. See, I'm healthy. Right. So your urine has lots and lots of vitamins and minerals. And even if you don't take a multivitamin per se, let's say you have just this amazing diet and you eat organic, free range, grass fed, yada, 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 yada. So, you're still going to leak. Leak, what's the word? You're still going to spill, what we say spill, you're going to spill vitamins and minerals into your urine. So is there a specific kind of fat? I've never heard of a specific kind of fat. It's just that it just has to be fat, like real fat. Yes, so don't do anything low fat. You need fat. Butter, cheese, cookies, no, I'm kidding. Brownies. I love brownies. Yeah, anything that's going to have a good saturated fat. I know, and that's so anti-normal diet advice, right? But if you want those vitamins to actually get into your body, they have to make it to the small intestine. And in order for them to get to the small intestine, it has to make it through the stomach and the highly acidic fluid in your stomach. So what happens when you take the multivitamin, the vitamins, as it starts to break down in your stomach because of the acid there, it binds to the fat. And it basically the fat becomes like a little life raft, right? And it's able to survive. I'm the king of the world. Don't make me sing Celine Dion songs, to make the point. It's a little life raft, and it makes it to the small intestine. And James says he uses olive oil. So, oh, good, Carly. I hope that was helpful. And olive oil is good if you like the taste of that stuff. Oh my gosh. I'm from the South. I'm from Mississippi. Love Mississippi. And I did not taste olive oil until I was, I think, 22 or 23. And it tasted so gross to me. So I still can't eat that stuff. But Carly and anyone else who cares, coconut oil would be fabulous. Grapeseed oil, pecan oil, any kind of nut oil, maybe even just eat some nuts, some cashews, some pecans. I love pecans because I'm from Mississippi. Yeah, all I see is Carly, Carly, but it's Carly Lee. All right, then. I'll try and remember that for next time. Carly Lee. That's cool. I will try to remember for next time. And if I forget, please just remind me. Okay? No worries. She says it's kind of hard to explain. My last name is Causey. I think it's pretty simple. I've seen my name spelled so many ways. Casey, Cosby, Crosby. I'm like, where did you get an R, an O, and a B? So I try to be close on the names. So does anybody have any final questions before we go? Again, tonight's topic was part 2 of the heart-genitals connection and how we can heal some of that. And I hope tonight I was not a Debbie Downer. So Pawan Sood. Okay, how do I pronounce that, darling? Because you were here last time. Is it Pawan Sood? Is that is it Indian? I don't know. Indian, Pakistani. I am great. How are you? Pawan Sood. I'm sure I'm screwing that up too. So does anybody have any more questions? We literally only have like 2 minutes left. I don't know where the time went. And so while people, you're from India, namaste, namaskar. Oh, good. Good, Carly Lee. I'm going to try and get that. Thanks for explaining. You are welcome. You are welcome. And, you can always find me on all the social media. My name is the same. My name is, that's my account. It's my name, Trish Causey, TRISHCAUSEY. You so close. Oh, all right. Just give me like 4 or 5 episodes and I'll finally get it. Carly Lee. Oh, that's like it's like, as an actor, you get your big break and it's dinner is served. And so you practice dinner is served. Dinner is served. Dinner is served. So you tell me where to put the accent and I will be happy to do it. All right. And Pawan says, please give me blessings. All right, darling. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I am sending you all of the absolute brightest, most amazing blessings that I can possibly give from my being. And of course, I give love and just happiness and joy. I am sending this to all of you. To all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether you're watching live or the replay, I am so grateful that you have tuned in to Sacred Sex with Trish Please know that I love you. I love you all, and you're all doing an amazing job. And this journey is not easy. So I love you. And we're going to do this next week. And I think we may indeed talk about recovering from religion. And if you want, join the Facebook group. It's Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/sacred sex with Trish, all one word, no spaces, dashes, etc. Thank you, James. I appreciate it, honey. Same to you as well. And to Robbie. I don't know if maybe Robbie fell asleep. but yeah, it's just amazing. And I'm so grateful to be here. Please check out my website, trishcausey.com. You can find out more about me and what I do. If you want to work with me, you can message me. Check out my program, Awakening Energy and Sound Orgasm Meditation. Awesome. And all of that's on the front page of my website. So you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to remember any links. You can just go straight to trishcausey.com, and it is all there. And I am so grateful to all of you for being here. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I hope this was useful, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. And Robbie's here. Awesome. All right, now go to bed. It's bedtime. Bedtime for you, sir. And I love y'all. And y'all take care, and feel free to ask me any questions. Oh, and if you ever want to ask questions anonymously, go to my website. The link is on my front page, trishcausey.com. And you can ask a question anonymously, because sometimes, obviously, this gets very personal, right? So, all right, I'm going to head out. I love all of you. And please, please, please remember, only love is real. I will see y'all next time. Bye.